Did you ever have a Milwaukee battery that just does not want to take a full charge? I'll show you how to fix that instead of throwing it away. So stick with me and I'll show you how it's done. So what we have here is a Milwaukee M12 HD battery. So it's a very, very expensive battery. So now I push my power indicator here and you can see 3 bars. I take it, put it on my charger here, and it says I have a full charge. No matter how long you leave it sit there, it says you have a full charge. Take it back off. Still says 3/4 battery. So what we're going to do is take this apart and I'll show you how to diagnose where the problem is. So stick with me and let me grab some tools. Alright, here's what we're going to need. First thing you're going to need is a set of safety bits. Okay, you're only really going to need one safety bit, but it's easy to buy this whole set. Harbor Freight has them, they're pretty cheap. I want to say this was like $12 for this whole set of things. So basically, for the top, you've got a larger torque bit, and you got a smaller one down here. So on the top, you need a T10. This is a safety one, but up here you don't need it. It's just a regular old T10. Down on the side here, you need a T8. But, whoops. You see we got the hollow point there, and down there, there is the little tab sticking up there in the middle, so you do need the safety bit. So again, T10 up here, T8 for the ones on the side. You're also going to need a digital multimeter. So I'm going to set you up on the tripod and we'll go ahead and show you how to take this guy apart and show you what to do from there. Alrighty then, I'm going to start with my T8 and my screwdriver here. Kind of the wrong screwdriver to use, but you got to work with what you got, and this is what I got. Alright, so we're going to start with our end ones. We're just going to go ahead and unscrew all those. There we go. These magnetic parts bin holders are awesome. Again, Harbor Freight. I am not sponsored by Harbor Freight, but I get a lot of stuff from them because you get a lot of cheap stuff for your average do-it-yourselfer. You don't have to break the bank on it. And they've been good to me so far. So let's see. There we go. Whoopsie. What's going on here? Oh, looks like those are actually the T10s down there. Alright. Oh, with the T10. Yep, T10s. So there are only 2 T8s on these M12s. I've actually never had an M12 before. I've done this procedure with the with the 12 amp hour ones before. I've done it with the 9 amp hour ones a couple times, but first time taking apart my 12. Alright, so these two are the long screws. Put those in my parts holder there. Now we'll go ahead and get our 4 top ones out. Oh, I guess those are the T8s up there. Jeez. Fumble. Okay, those are just little bitty guys, so just be careful you don't lose them. That's, again, why that magnetic parts holder comes in handy. Alright, so now really all you have to do is pull it apart. Top comes off, set that aside, and now you've got all your circuitry here. So what you want to do is be careful and just grab here on either side, and the bottom comes out. So now we have our case. So here are all of our batteries. So what we've got going on here is battery banks. So those 3 are a bank, those 3 are a bank, you know, and so on, times 5 banks. Okay, so that's how these are lined up. So what happens here is when this thing charges, Each one of these banks goes to like 4.13 volts, somewhere around there, but one of them falls behind and doesn't quite get to 4 volts. And that's why you only see 3/4 charge on your indicator there. So what we're going to do is take our multimeter and test across each bank here to see which ones are at over 4 volts and which ones are at 3 point whatever volts. So we're going to take our multimeter, set it to direct current, set it up on the stand here so you can see. All right, so we've got the first one here. That one's saying 3.7, so that looks like that's our low one, but we're going to go ahead and check the rest check the rest of them and see what they look like. Let's see. There we go. 4.2. Check bank number 3. We got, come on. Why are we getting no voltage? Get our, so set up a little bit better here. Okay, number 3. 4.1 something. $3.87 and 4.2. So we actually have 2 banks on this one that are low. Okay, so what we have to do is bring these banks up to over 4.0. All right, so I'm gonna put you on pause here and I'll show you how we can accomplish that. All right, so what we have is a battery charger that can charge NiCad, lithium, nickel, you know, all kinds of batteries. But these are lithium-ion batteries in here, so you need one that can do lithium-ion batteries. Never try to charge a lithium-ion battery with a charger that does not do lithium-ion. You will have bad things happen. If you look up lithium-ion battery explosions online, do it. It's pretty nasty, so it's something you don't want to experience yourself. But anyways, we can utilize this charger to bring these banks up to where they need to be, okay? These chargers are pretty cool because they can do, each bank works independently, and you can bring multiple size batteries up to charge at one time. They can be different capacities, different lengths, all that. They're all, so it works pretty good. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a chunk of wood in here with some jumper wires and run it to the banks. And you'll be able to see on here how that charges. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself ready there and show you how that's accomplished. One thing I forgot to mention before we get going. We want to figure out the polarity of the bank before we get going here. So you need to find out what's the positive and what's the negative in order to make that match with the positive and negative on your battery charger. So we're going to take our multimeter. I've got my positive over here, my negative over here. So we're going to test bank 1 and see if the meter says negative or positive. Okay, so come on. All right, bank 1 says 3.75. So since this is my positive on this side is going to be positive. So I'm going to go ahead and take a marker and just mark that side so I know it's positive. All right, so now I got to find our other bank. I believe it was bank 4 was the other low one. So let's have a look-see. So that one says 3.9. So I've got my positive over here. I got my negative over here. So, and that said negative up there. So that means this is the positive side. So just to show you, we'll go ahead and switch sides. So I've got my positive here, my negative here. And now it says 3.9 volts. So you know this side is positive. So I'm going to mark that side of bank 4 to know that side is positive. Right there. Okay. All right. Now we'll go ahead and get set up and show you how to work this. All right. So I took a wire and I put some connectors on there to use as a jumper. I made one positive, one negative. So I made one with blue connectors, one with red connectors, just to keep them straight. So I used the red as the positive, the blue as the negative. Now, on our battery here, so here's my battery bank 1. I took this connector here and I just kind of wedged it down inside the end for this bank, inside the end of that metal there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Take my red one and wedge it right. Come on. Easier said than done, right? wedge it right up there. Okay, so again, I've kept my positive the same as it was. Now be careful not to touch the ends of these leads together because you will short it out and make a big pop. All right, so now I've taken my wood chunk and I put it down in here to kind of act as a battery. So you want to use non-conductive material, that's why I'm using wood. This would be actually a lot easier if I had a wooden dowel, but got to work with what you got, and this is what I got. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hook my negative up first because this is the side that this thing slides on. So it'll be easier to get my negative in there and then get my positive in after the fact. So I'm going to go ahead and, whoop, watch me struggle here a little bit. Get my negative end in there, making good contact. Now on here where it says, you can see it says null. Once I make contact, you'll see a voltage reading. So we should hopefully see that in a moment here. So there, now we're in. Okay, so now it's saying, whoop, it was saying, display, come on, 3.64 volts. So you can see that is one of my low voltage banks there. So now we're going to go ahead and hit the slot button over here. So that's going to get that slot flashing. So this is where I'm trying to control. So my mode. So you can see we've got decharge, refresh, charge test, quick test, and charge. So we want that. So I'm going to hit my current button. You can see it's defaulted to 500 milliamps, which is what we're going to use, but you can see you can change it, 700, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 200. We're going to put it at 500. Now I hit slot again, and it moves over, moves over, moves over. Now I leave that, and eventually here it will start charging. I'm going to put my display mode back to voltage, 3.64 volts. 3.7. So now that's flashing right now. That will eventually go solid. And yep, there we go. We're solid now. Where it's going to start to charge. So you can see it's at 3.7. This will charge it until it gets to 4.2 volts and shut off, and that'll say full. So we're only going to do one bank at a time just to make it, a little bit easier. I'm not sure if you can do two at a time. I've never tried it. I've only ever tried one just to be safe. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and let this go, and I will bring you back once that bad boy says full. It'll take an hour or so before that happens. So I'll bring you back when that's done. All right, here we are. I left it go a couple hours, and you can see over here it says full. So now let's just, for funsies, go ahead and push our power indicator here, and look at that. We got 4 bars. I am going to go ahead and charge that other weak bank up there just to get it back up to over 4 volts. But let's see if it'll show us on our display here. Yeah, 4.19 volts. So it should be the same as 3 of the other banks, 3 of the other banks. So I'll go ahead and hook up the other bank, and I'll show you what that one says. I'm not going to show you the hooking up process because you just saw me do it, so it'll be the same thing, but I'll show you what the voltage reads. So I'll bring you right back. All right, I've got my other bank hooked up, and as you can see, it's reading, let's see, 3.84 volts. I went ahead and I made myself some longer leads for this one because this one was in a harder spot to reach. But yeah, 8.34 volts. So we'll go ahead and let that one charge up to full, and I will bring you back and we'll retest all the banks to see where everything's at. So I will bring you back once it's done. All right, that cell says it's full. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it off, and we'll throw up the voltmeter and see what everything looks like. So just hang with me. All right, here we go. Let's see where we're at. First bank says 4.2. Bank number 2 says just under 4.2. Bank number 3 says just under 4.2. Bank number 4 says 4.2. And our last bank, 4.2. Okay, we got them all evened out. So that's good. And once again, we hit our power indicator. Everything lights up, so we're at full capacity now. So these 2 9-amp-hour batteries had a similar issue, like I mentioned earlier. So this one here had one bank that was at 3.8. So I went ahead and I did the same method, got it all up to 4.2. This one was so bad that when you push the power indicator here, it would say it was empty, but when you put it on the charger, it said it was full. So when I cracked that one open, all the banks were at 4.2 except for one was at 0.9. So for whatever reason, that one fell behind and it couldn't keep up, and whatever the case may be. But these two have been back in service for a couple months now, and they've been fine. I've run them through the full cycle, and they've charged back up to full each time. So that's good. Now, I should mention too, when I worked on these, I left the case off and I left them sit for a week. And every day I came out with the voltmeter and I checked each bank just to see if they were holding voltage or losing voltage or whatever. And, for that entire week, all 7 days, they all held the same voltage each day. So whatever caused this one to fall behind, I'm not sure, but it seems to have fixed the problem. So yeah, this is a pretty easy fix if you have the right equipment. So again, instead of throwing away your expensive batteries or trying to get a warranty on them, if you feel comfortable doing this method, it'll work out, because it's worked out for me. So hopefully y'all learned something. Hopefully y'all enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.